Just a little bit of background on the political situation at the time that he and his brothers were the rightful rulers of the kingdom. They were unfairly usurped from that position. And so there were numerous counter-arguments made of what kind of example are you setting, what kind of standards are there. And so actively trying to take Arjuna away from the position of running away, oh, it's not worth it, I can't do this, to a position of growth. And we see that growth through that conversation in the Bhagavad Gita. And so taking that experience back to our own lives, how many of us have been through a situation that has been less than pleasant? Yeah. So I'm going to ask everyone to take these out. And if you have a notepad application, I just want to give everyone a few minutes to just think about a time where you experienced a challenge. And it could be a small challenge, it could be a big challenge, but it's in the past and it's done. Write down that challenge. So that's part one. And if you have paper, you can write it down too, yeah. And then after you've written down that challenge or typed out that challenge, think about 3 ways that it affected you. Could be positive, could be negative, could be something in the middle. But just think about the way that it left a mark in your life. And once you've finished that exercise, if you could just give a thumbs up, just to indicate that it's done. Okay. Everyone need a minute or 2 more, or are we mostly good? 1, 2 minutes? Okay, sure. Okay. And for those of you that just joined, I'm just going to write a summary of the exercise we're doing right now if you'd like to participate. And then, for those of you that want to go a little further, identify, even if it's something small, at least one way that you grew from that situation. give it a minute more. All right, now I'm going to ask you to break off into pairs, so preferably somebody seated near you, next to you ideally. And you don't need to share what the difficulty or the difficult experience was, but I'd like to ask you for the next minute or two just to spend a little time talking about the aftermath of that experience. Go.
Didn't have enough space, buddy. I had to delete an old video.
Oh.
Yeah, don't worry, it was about me talking. Sorry.
Okay.
The video is cut in half now, so we have to stitch it later on.
Did you do the exercise?
It's here.
Oh. So how do you feel like it left a mark?
It left a quite literal mark in my case.
Okay.
So I'm constantly reminded of it, and at the same time, it also shows me that I can take it once more and still come out, grow. That's not the end of the world, the end of my life. Like, there is always way to move forward, even if it's not the way that you originally liked or thought about it, but there is ways to move forward. That's the positive side of things.
Yeah.
Of course, it has its own downsides, but we don't have time to dwell over those. I mean, let's look at the positive side and move on. There is enough negativity around, so we don't have to. At least someone told me that.
Well, that's nice.
A very optimistic friend, so I learned it from him.
Oh.
I mean, you're the optimist always, so.
Yes, I am.
So your turn.
The one thing coming to mind, it was like when Aditya Prabhu's my company just crashed and burned, and it was actually before crashing and burning. So it was pre-investment when I had no idea how we were going to pay next month's rent, had like no money in the bank account, and I remember that there was this small wooden box, and we'd always put like some cash in it to buy sweets every week from the temple, and we made a promise like, okay, this box will never be empty. We'll always have enough money to buy sweets. And I just remember like feeling so much anxiety about it, and then just praying to Krishna, like offering obeisance, and just like, what am I supposed to learn from this? What am I supposed to learn from this? And the word that came to me was patience. And just through that whole experience, I learned a lot. I learned that there are people in my life who will love and care for me no matter what, whether successful or not successful, like, it doesn't matter. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And it also helped shape more faith that Krishna will always take care. You know, it may look like something else, but it ultimately is taking care. Yeah, so just a lot more security, I guess, with all that. It was nice. But I also have the benefit of looking back on it from years ago.
Yeah.
More than 10 years ago, wow.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, it also feels a lot better than it was at the time.
Because your bank balance is not empty anymore.
Yeah.
That is true, you know, like, we get so tunnel vision with problems that we don't realize there are people around us who love us, you know.
Oh, that's a nice one. Would you mind sharing that? Oh, that we get so tunnel vision with problems we forget about our sources of strength or support.
It's not calculated. You can just say, oh, you know what, we were just talking and this.
The less I speak, the better everyone is, I think. Anyway.
All of this is recorded.
Oh, hot mic. All right. Do we need another minute, or are we okay? One more minute? Huh? Another minute, okay. Deal.
It's funny that this person did not find a pair, so he started talking on his phone.
Oh. Well, we could talk to him. Well, if he didn't do it.
You agree? I'm a crybaby in that
All right, we're gonna pause here on this, and just a question: if anyone, no worries, would anyone mind sharing? And again, it doesn't have to be like private details. Would anyone mind sharing their, I guess, most powerful experience with that just reflection? Or reflecting on that experience now, here in the present day, from the safety of hindsight. That was a great way to kill the energy. Okay, well, how did it feel to talk about these experiences? We'll start with that.
I can speak. Should I come there or can I speak from here?
However you like.
No, it's okay. I can. So it's like I wrote. So I'm basically doing my finish my PhD and come for postdoc. So it was like this was during PhD halfway through the PhD, and I was asked by my guide to do something. So it was it's like you're banking on it. It's like like you have to your life is on it at that point of time. That was the feeling actually. So you just somebody asks you to not do the very thing that you wanted to do all your life. So it's like it was really, and also coming from somebody like whom you trusted completely. So it's like at that point it was shocking, and it was situation was kind of desperate, and there is a feeling of loneliness in this world. So it's like nobody is there with you. Okay, so it's like and there is a lot of anger like why this thing has to ever happen to me. Okay, so and it just goes on, and and it culminates into loss of confidence. So these were the immediate feelings that that just came, and how I went forward with it is like I just reflected on what I did those 3 years basically. So I just reflected, and I just thought, did I actually do my best? So that was one of the reflection. I mean, I tried, but did it go well, or did it not go well? It's because somebody of initially it was like the person I was having a lot of anger, but I just kind of went back and thought that if somebody of that stature is saying, then some part of it must be true. So whether I have to kind of reflect on what are the negativities there. Okay, and just need to face it. If you're not upset, then possibilities so it's like these kind of things, and these reflections help me a little bit, and then finally it's like it's like I have to either face it or leave. So it's like that is one of the ways I could improve. And so these are the kind of things. So it's like brought in discipline and self-care.
Mm.
So and I just tried, putting those things and then that, within a very short time, it's like it's not that it's the end of the world, just like the way we feel it. But once we just manage and take whatever action we do, we just get the direction what to do. I mean, like in my case, somehow I was able to do some work and convince the person to hang on to me. So it was a success, but it could have been a failure. I mean, there is no. But the thing is, like ultimately, we are guided into the direction that what we are meant to do. So I think that is the most reassuring part of it. I mean, like reflecting back, it at least showed me what I am fit for or what I am not fit for. So that it is like a kind of learning, and the discipline has brought, and the changes in my attitude. So these were the kind of things that I went through.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And there's some different things to unpack there. So in the beginning of your shared experience, it sounded like the emotions that you were expressing of loneliness, of anger, it's kind of like just looking at things in a very myopic way. Because when we identify with that situation, that crisis, that hardship, that difficulty, that becomes my whole world. That's all I see. When there could be this whole larger world kind of waiting there to support you, but I'm identifying with that situation that's intense. And so then you were sharing kind of that journey of internalizing it and then starting to remove yourself from that situation to just kind of see it. Okay, this is what happened. Maybe there's some opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop from it. Now, how many of us are gardeners or have experience growing a plant? How many of us have ever grown a plant before? Okay, from seed. Okay, inside. Like indoors. Okay. Now, how many of us have taken that plant that we grew indoors and taken it outside? What happens to plants that you grow inside from seed and then you take them outside? What happens?
They undergo shock.
Huh? Shock.
Sometimes they burn.
They burn?
Yeah.
They go through shock?
Mine just died.
They die? Are they as strong and healthy as plants that grow from the soil outside? No. Usually not. Why?
Roots aren't deep enough.
Okay. Ooh, that's a deep answer. But there was some joking going around before we all got here about I would not bring out the dad jokes, but I'm sorry, you just got one. So yes, deep roots. What else? Okay, the roots may not be as deep because it's in a pot versus the earth below. What else?
It wasn't prone to like extreme conditions, which you could have been also.
Could you say that a different way?
It was grown inside, so you would have taken a lot of care to grow it. Like.
Okay, yeah, the indoor plant had a pampered lifestyle. It never knew the hardship of a bird weighing down its branches or a strong gust of wind. But what happens to those plants that are in an environment where a bird weighs down the branch, a strong gust of wind blasts the leaves and flowers? What happens?
Some get stronger. They adapt to overcome that.
Yeah, they have to, or else they die. Now, the fortunate thing is that we're all here. The fact that we were able to reflect on these challenges, not just the actual experience, but what we've taken from that experience means it wasn't the end of the world. There is life after that crisis or that powerful experience. And in some ways, we have that opportunity, we're invited to step up. Just as Krishna was inviting Arjuna to step up after Arjuna started to really internalize the gravity, the enormity of the situation he was experiencing. And there's this author slash psychologist slash Holocaust survivor named Viktor Frankl. Anyone heard of him? He wrote this, He wrote this amazing book, Man's Search for Meaning. It's also, if any of you have an Audible subscription, it's free, and it's definitely an amazing book to listen to. It talks about how it's not necessarily the difficult situation that we are going through, it's how we can extract meaning from that situation that can give rise to resiliency and growth from that challenge. And so that's really the heart of this fight or flight. So one way that we could also consider this is if we always say, yeah, it's good to confront head on, and we use the word fight, that implies resiliency, steadfastness, confrontation. But now let's take that idea to a little bit heavier topics. Abusive relationships or unhealthy relationships. What does fighting look like in that situation? Does it mean staying there and seeing if you can get some weights to fight your way to freedom? What does fighting look like there?
Maybe ending it. Maybe ending the relationship.
Okay.
On.
Ending the relationship, but isn't that flight? Self-care. Okay.
Well, I mean, then you are associating running away always to flight. So, you know, well, fighting doesn't necessarily have to be where you confront someone. Fighting can also mean you taking care of yourself and not putting yourself through more pain and trouble.
Okay.
In that way, you're defending yourself. Now, that's a type of fight too. You're defending yourself rather than always pursuing attack.
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting in that example, the fight is not always with somebody else, some external force that I'm trying to adjust to make my situation comfortable. It's also a fight within. I'm in a certain situation for whatever reason, but we may find ourselves there. Sometimes the fight has to be with ourselves to come to a conclusion that I've reached a limit. And the fight is that I'm going to give myself the respect, the self-care that I deserve, and I'm not going to allow myself to be in that situation anymore. So in the little blurb in the email about the fight or flight, it's more nuanced. It's not against always some outside aggressor. Most of the most difficult battles are within. And so these challenges are a way to go to the gym, to strengthen ourselves, to be able to fight and win these internal battles that we experience. These internal battles against feeling like I'm not enough, I can't do it, I'm not worth it. And so that's one way that we can take this lesson, this premise of the Bhagavad Gita, into our everyday lives. Just understanding that every moment it is a fight to be a better version of ourselves, more aligned with our true nature as souls, having a human experience, not humans having a spiritual experience. Because it's always a fight. The fact that we're here talking about these spiritual topics, that in itself is going against the grain, it's against the norm. How many of you have experienced any kind of, even if it's just like teasing or jokes, because of some kind of spiritual inclination? Yeah. It happens, but that happens anytime you do anything outside of the norm. And so I was reading this book and I really liked how it was phrased that, why do we want to be considered normal in a world that is insane? So on that note, I just invite if there are any reflections or points that anyone would like to discuss. Otherwise, we will take flight to the dinner. All right, well, thank you very much. And just a request, if anyone would like to serve, you're more than welcome to. It's in the back row. And yeah, eat nicely.